Steeler Nation, are you ready for the best podcast in town? G'day, Steel Nation. Welcome to the first episode of Steel City Syndicate Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, with my co-host, Britsburgh, Owen. Owen, mate, how's it going?
Oh, good, man. Just recovering from these crazy last 3 days, man. Just absolutely epic. Just non-stop. Crazy times, mate.
Yeah, it has been crazy. You know what else is crazy too? So for our listeners out there, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. You and I run half and half, and with a little bit of help of our mate Derek too, doing the breaking news while we can't, while we're asleep. So I want to first bring up too, before we get into today, we're going to talk all about the draft, right?
Mhm.
The recap of the draft. But what is crazy is when Derek breaks the news, it's either when I'm asleep or when you're asleep. So I want to give the viewers the idea of what is happening right now, like for this channel, the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, and now our podcast too, our weekly podcast, Steel City Syndicate Podcast, right? What time is it over there right now?
At the moment, it is 20 past 11 at night.
And I'm recording at 8 a.m. in the morning. So you guys are getting this perspective from one Australian and one Britsburgh, Owen, right? On complete two different sides of the world, talking about a team that we all love, the Pittsburgh Steelers in America. Like, to me, I love that. I don't know what you think about that, but I think that's fantastic. Like, it is your nighttime having beers, and I'm having coffee in the morning. And
It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy
Isn't
times.
it?
I think it just shows two things really for me. Number one, I think it's interesting to get a take on a sport that from other countries, that's not just solely American, because there's so much American content out there anyway. With the news channels, 24-hour rolling news channels, the NFL Network, etc., etc. So it's just interesting, isn't it, to get news sort of what England and Australia think, and also I think it just shows the growing. The growth of the NFL now across the world, its attractiveness to other nations now.
Yeah, big time. And this is the first time that we have spoken on the Syndicate and now the Steel City Syndicate podcast. And I thought we had to. I thought, we're in this adventure together. We're trying to get this channel moving, the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, and try and get in the right direction, have a bit of fun. Like, that's always been my goal, is to have a bit of fun and try and talk about our team as best we can. And it's interesting because I have known you from your channel as well, Britsburgh, Owen, and from my channel, my main channel, Steeler Nation Australia. But we're on this adventure where we can try and talk Pittsburgh Steelers and come together as a team. And who else came together as a team, Owen, over the weekend?
The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mark.
That's my really bad segue. In all seriousness, it is kind of cool to finally talk to you. And we've been doing. I started the syndicate with Grid or Derek at the very start of the Pittsburgh. And now, you've joined the team and you've hit the ground running. So it is good to see, also for viewers and Steeler fans to see us on a different level too, having a more just a nice, relaxed conversation. But today's conversation will be about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we are talking about the 2022 NFL Draft. I just want your quick overall thoughts. Don't go into it too fast, but what do you think overall? Are you happy with the draft?
Absolutely, yeah. I think for his, this has been his last draft. Colbert's leaving us with a legacy, isn't he? He's leaving us with the building blocks, the sound foundations to go on and be competitive for the next couple of years for definite. So yeah, I think the picks are fabulous. I absolutely, really love this draft class. I'm really hyped about it. I think it's gonna be a fantastic draft class.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I'm pretty happy with the draft. I'm actually very happy with the offseason. And I know I've been saying this on my other channel, Steel Nation Australia. I'm kind of happy Ben's gone. I love that Ben did what he did for 17, 18 years. But I think we're going in a new direction. I think we got more mobile in the QB. And I feel like this team has got fresher. We're younger. We're hungrier. The defense is outstanding. Overall, the offseason was pretty good, I think. And the draft shows that too. The draft shows that where we may have thought we had to go in key areas to get certain positions, and we'll talk about that today.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. We ended up doubling down on two positions, and I still think we're in the right direction to hopefully win a playoff game this year. But let's start with day one. So day one, I want your thoughts on Kenny Pickett and what that means for the team overall, or the quarterback position.
You know, I've gone through like a roller coaster, bit of a series of emotions over the whole Pickett pick. To be honest with you, you know, as you know, Mark, when the pick was made on day one, I was a bit like, oh no. Not because I wanted Malik Willis. I didn't want Malik Willis. I just thought we had other needs that we needed to address, and there was better players like Devin Lloyd, for instance, Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth Jr. So I was felt like a kid who got rubbish Christmas presents, to be honest with you. But then, you know, sitting back in the cold light of day and actually analysing it and looking at it, in terms of, you know, looking at the division, looking at the team, looking at the offense, I personally think now it's a good pick. It's a good decision's been made. I trust Colbert and I trust Tomlin. You know, these guys have seen Pickett down the hall for 5 years. They're not going to go out and pick someone who they think isn't going to live up to, you know, the potential. He is the most pro ready. He could feasibly start day one. He's the most accurate. He's mobile. He's quick. You know, he's got a good medium range passing game. Okay, his long passing game is the only thing that is slightly not up to standard at the moment, but that could be worked on by David Corley Jr. and Mike Sullivan. But no, I see some similarities between him and Joey Burrow, sorry.
Yeah, well, let's hope he's not a Joey Bungle because he's terrible. Well, he's actually really good, but I just don't like the Bengals. We all know that.
Don't, yeah.
I can't stand the Bengals 100%. Do you want to talk about the Bengals being losers for the next 24 minutes?
Let's just stick to the Steelers, shall we? Let's stick to
okay, all right. My thoughts on Kenny Pickett, I'm kind of okay with, just because of the way what they've been doing with the off season. I thought they really did a really good off season, bringing in James Daniels, Mason Cole, and building up the defense. And then you thought, okay, you know, you got rid of all the receivers, no Juju. We haven't even really talked about like Juju missing as a presence. Like, he's a good player, but I don't think we have missed a beat that too much in that respect. Now, Kenny Pickett also, he has been playing there for 4 or 5 years. In Heinz Field, he lives there in Pittsburgh. He already knows the city. He already knows how to go to work. UPMC Center, I've actually been there. Have you been to Pittsburgh? I've forgotten.
No, I haven't yet.
No, not yet. Yeah. I've been to, when you get there, you can go down to Southside and check out UPMC Center. You can't go in there, but the training center on both sides is the Pittsburgh Panthers and Pittsburgh Steelers share like facilities. Like they said, across the hall, it's literally like a car park, and there's like 1 or 2, you know, offices across the hall. So in a big field too. Now, I've been there, and if he's been there, like studied his college and played in Heinz for 4 or 5 years, that's a huge advantage. Like, I think we're missing like the count there, because we forget about that. Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, they know this guy from growing up as a youngster, seeing how he's playing. Like, for sure, I know that the leagues in Australia, like the NRL, they would have young guys, you know, after the games, talking to the old fellas how they played. So he would have been around the Pittsburgh Steelers. He would have been around at meetings or in the lunchrooms, or walk past Tom and say, "How you doing, mate? How's it all going?" Like, they know this guy from, like, I kind of forgot that throughout the whole draft experience. They kind of know this guy on a personal level better than anyone, really, when you think about it. Don't you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the other thing I think that sort of sold me on him was I was listening to Chris Carter, and he was saying about how they lost Pitt Panthers. I mean, I don't watch any Pitt Panthers football, but apparently they lost to Western Michigan this year, and Pickett took it upon himself to call a meeting of the whole team meeting. And in the meeting, he just addressed the team and said, right, this does not happen again. This is the end of it. We're going to win the ACC championship. We do not lose again from this day, because we do not want this feeling again. And that was something that he brought the team together on that day. And that, for me, displays real leadership qualities. And that's something that we need on the offense. And, you know, he's really he was showing their leadership. And I think that's something he can bring to the Steelers.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And he's a young fella, or he's a young old fella. He's about 25 years old, right? He's not the youngest of quarterbacks you ever see out there. So, and playing, I just think playing in Pittsburgh that long, I think Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, I trust them 100%. I'll ask this question and we'll start to move on through the draft. But we don't want to. Will he be QB number one? Because I don't know yet.
I still think that game one, I think Trubisky will start. I don't think they'll throw Pickett in there straight away. I think Trubisky will start the season as the starter. And Trubisky, I think Pickett, we may say Pickett partway through the season, depending on how the season's going or depending on how Trubisky is playing. But no, I think Trubisky will start day one.
So to me, the only real big difference would be imagine if they start in Heinz Field, which we haven't done for the last 7 years, right? But imagine if they start in Heinz Field and Kenny Pickett is used to starting there and he's not starting day one. That would be quite strange for him to walk into the field and not start and be like, well, now I'm the bottom of the, I'm a little fish in a big pond. I don't think he starts either right now. My opinion can change because we are only just turning into May. We go for training camp and the fellas can do all the workouts. I don't think he starts right now. I think the best course of action is to start with Trubisky because you brought him in here for a 2-year deal. See what he can do in this offense. And then if that doesn't pan out, hopefully it does. If it doesn't pan out, you move back to Pickett and give him a shot. But we'll go on from there. We'll go on to because it's just way too early to even predict that. But it is still a talking point. I think you and I are going to discuss a lot over the course of the action. Over the next 3 months away until football starts. It's getting there. It's getting there. Now let's go into day 2 with the first. The second pick we had was number 52, George Pickens. Pickett to Pickens. Instant thoughts. What do you reckon?
George Pickens. I love this guy. Actually, he is the son of Carl Pickens, former Bengals receiver, which I think would be hilarious.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's Carl Pickens' son. Yeah, sure his dad loves the fact he's now a Steeler. I love this pick. He's a top receiver. I genuinely think that had this guy not had his his non-contact ACL injury in 2021, he'd have been a first rounder. He's quick, he's strong, he's got excellent hands. He's a big guy. He's a physical guy. He's got excellent competitive streak in him, and the fact as well that he is very much about the team. When this guy he had the ACL injury, and it could have been so easy for him just to say, right, that's it now, I'm going to concentrate on getting myself fit, ready for the draft, for my own career. But no, he came back, he battled back, he came back at the end of the season, he played for Georgia. He didn't get many receptions, but he was back down the sidelines. He had one big reception in the championship game against Bama for 52 yards. He put his team first. So that's the sort of guy we want on the Steelers. I know there's been some questions over his attitude and some of the things that happened in his past, but I think this year he's proved himself as been a team guy, and that's the sort of guy we want on the Steelers.
Can I stop you there? What better way, though? Questions with his attitude. What better way to go to the Steelers? They handled Antonio Brown, one of my favorite receivers still to this day. As a player, Antonio Brown turned into a head case near the end, right? They handled him. They had ideas to around Montavious Bryant, got into a bit of trouble. They handled him. They handled was it Fournette? Leonard Fournette?
No, LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, Blount, yeah, Blount, that's right. He was a bit of a muppet near the end, right? They handled him to a certain degree. So the idea of the character issues, I think the Steelers are pretty good on these fronts. But that's why we are a winning organization. Everyone needs to realize that's what we do. We win. We go out there, we be competitive. And I was talking to you yesterday in our Vox or in our side chat, right? I was like, as long as we have TJ, we have a chance to win, right? So I'm pretty happy with George Pickens. I don't like the idea though from Pickett to Pickens. It's gonna just tear me apart, trying to pronounce that all the time. But he's a I don't know too much about him, but I think he's a tall fella, right? He's a fast fella. 6'4". That's all I need to know. Honestly, I just like this. Sometimes the sheer size of a person can just be that is their biggest skill set. You look at Calvin Johnson, what he used to do with the Lions, or Julio Jones when they made that catch in Super Bowl 51. Some of those fellas, when they're that big and that skillful, throw him the football, go up and get it, and or even to a certain degree, Randy Moss, how skillful he was too, and he was just amazing. So I do think it was a good pick overall. And we will grade it at the end, and we'll give you guys a chance to grade these at the very end too, or the whole draft. But I like it. I thought receiver at number 2. I did say on Steel Nation Australia that you had receiver was going to go 1 or 2 Like, I think we all knew that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this pick of Pickens, gosh, it's getting hard, man.
It's hard, isn't it, right?
Yeah, I think it gives us a really good mix now in that receiver room. You know, we've got the diminutive, the smaller receivers like, DJ's not that tall. Austin, who we took at 4. Then we've got Chase, who's big. We've now got George Pickens, who's big. Miles Boykin is tall. So there's a really good mix there in sizes of receivers again to give them that variance in the way the receivers play.
100%, and we'll get to the other receivers shortly. And no pun intended, but he is quite short, but he's amazing. The next guy in day 2 was DeMarvin Leal or Leal. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to go with Leal at the moment until I hear confirmation, but I've heard other reports say Leal. What do you think of defensive lineman DeMarcus Leal?
I think this is going to be a good pick. This is going to be a steal of a pick. I saw before the combine, before the pro days, Leal, whatever he's called, it was actually mocked quite a few times in the first round, actually, and he was rated behind Jordan Davis and Devonta Wyatt. It's only sort of his testing that let him down. But if you heard Mike Tomlin talk about him on the NFL Network to Rich Eisen yesterday, he was really positive and buzzing about this guy. You know, the fact that he can play all along the defensive line, he can play as an undersized nose tackle, he can play as an end, he can play as a DT. He's played at outside linebacker as well for Texas A&M. He's one of those players that Mike Tomlin loves. You know, the position flexibility that Tomlin loves. He's a bit of a beast. He's aggressive. He's worked on his pass rush moves. I think get him with Kyle Dunbar, get him with Brian Flores. I think they'll turn him into an absolute game wrecker. I really do. I think, work with Flores, work with Kyle Dunbar. He'll be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And this is another pick that he comes to the Steelers, and even if he was average, it's still coming to the Steel City, right? And the way that we play football is just different here. It is different here. Defensive line, learning behind. Who do we have? Like Cameron Haywood. We have Alu, I think would be his last year. Tuitt, we hopefully comes back. Henry Mondeau has played better in the last few years. Chris Wormley also played better last year than the year before. And we signed Montravius Adams and rookie or second-year player Isaiah Loudermilk. Mm-hmm. It's a good little team. It's a good little it's a bit of depth. And why not bring a rookie in to say, hey, mate, it's your turn. And it's good timing as well because we don't know, like, obviously, we need to start to prep for the next 3-4 years when he can be the leader and Cameron Haywood might be his last leg, right? So again, I am tremendously happy with the pick. I think it's overall it suits the fit that we need for this defense. And we have talked about it, and I'm sticking to it. If we are going top 10 defense, I think, and this only proves it even better. So if this guy can come in and do some reps where, maybe he won't play a lot of snaps, but if they're productive and they're in there on third down or in second down, he's going to help out and get some help in that in the trench. It's going to be a good pick, I think, because we don't need this guy to go out and be fantastic as a rookie because we have the other fellas. But it proves to me there is good depth, and I like his attitude too. I saw a few of his tweets. He's so excited to be a Steeler.
Yeah, Buddy Johnson, who was from Texas A&M last year, he was absolutely buzzing on Twitter about this. He was absolutely over the moon about this pick. He was so positive about Leal so as well, and he's obviously played with him last season, so that's encouraging news as well. But that defensive line is stacked now. I mean, it's going to be a question of who we don't put on the roster. I think I think there's 9-10 guys now that could fully fighting for 6-7 spots.
I get this feeling also too with this defense being around the age now 25, 26. It does to me get that feeling like the 2008 defense where they're ready. Like they need to come together. The Bandit brothers getting back. Cam's probably sick of losing. I know TJ's sick of losing. And there was times last year when you could see those two fellas look at each other and say, what else can we do? What else can we do with the players we have, with Devin Bush coming back from injury, with Spillane or whoever was in there it wasn't Spillane. Schobert was in there at middle linebacker. Yeah. There were so many missing holes in the defense. And there was also like an aging, Joe Hayden. And it's like, to me, it felt like they were trying their best to say, we have a chance to win, but they ultimately knew they couldn't. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop the run. So coming with this guy, Leal, it's going to prove like a big impact, right?
Mm-hmm. I think you definitely, and I think if you like going back to what you said about 2008, if you look at when do Steelers teams win Super Bowls? It's when they've got dominant defenses and good run games. That's when we win Super Bowls. And what have we got now? We will have a dominant defense, and we've got one of the best running backs in the NFL. Providing the offensive line has made even if it rates 15th, 16th, that's still a massive step forward. Those offensive line from the 2000s, they weren't anything to write home about. They weren't in the same degree as the 1970s offensive lines, but when we have a good running game and we have an outstanding defense, that's when we win Super Bowls, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers formula.
Well, I always like too that the players are going to a second year. You think about Najee just for a minute for a sidetrack, right? Najee's going to his second year. There is so much less pressure on Najee this year, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
First year going to your rookie year, Najee had all the expectation, had to carry so much weight into the season, and he had to be the best. This year, he's had a full off season. He's down in Mexico. He's announcing the picks, right? Having a good time out there. Very humble guy. Going into his second year, yes, he wants to get better, but there's a whole full off season now for some of these players to get back at it. And I think you're right. Run the football, play action pass with Mitch, defense, and we have a good chance to win. Now, let's go into the third day. And the first pick of the third day was Calvin Austin III. What do you reckon?
Pocket rocket. Lightning, man.
Yeah.
5'8". I think he's 5'8", 170 pounds, but he's lightning quick. But the thing that I heard about him was that he's got initial speed, yeah, but it's when he then sort of puts on the afterburners afterwards. So the initial speed is there, and then he'll suddenly pick up and go even faster. I think he was averaging anything between 15 and 18 yards per catch. I know that was in college, but that's still pretty awesome. There's a lot of talk about him being used as the slot guy next year, but I think it's an excellent pick. I think he was another one who was talked higher in the draft, second rounder, third rounder. But I think obviously his size was something that held him back. But no, I've got no doubts the fact that it's another great pick.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you too. And I think if I do this correctly, I think I have his thing here. Yeah. This is from Calvin Austin III. He says, # here we go. Thank you, God. Steelers, let's get to work. Yeah. And I do love to see that. I love to see the players buy in. It's almost similar to what happened with Kenny Pickett when he heard the pick. Man, that is hard to say. It's too many P's in it and this and that. But yeah, when players buy in like that and they're ready to play for the Steelers, I'm keen. And I saw his highlights. He's a fast guy. He's not the biggest guy, but if we can use him, I want to see him be used on end arounds, jet sweeps, even for a fake. Don't even have to pass it to him, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
See him move into some of those receiver screens that didn't work in the past, but maybe with this kind of player they can. He's quite mobile. I want to see him move into the slot and get open really fast. But the biggest thing I want to see him do is I think where he can excel too. He's that fast. I feel like if you have 4 or 5 wide, if you put him out in the slot with 4 or 5 wide, get him against the linebacker. I reckon he can beat any linebacker just because he's so quick. The linebackers are not built to cover receivers, right? So if we can get him one-on-one with a linebacker or one-on-one with the third or fourth best corner, or maybe a safety who's not very good at covering, shorter routes, I think he can beat the linebacker. And the reason why I say that, why not put him out in a split where you put Najee next to you on one side and him on the other, like a fullback split, send him out both ways and let him run routes in the middle, have the other fellas, Claypool, Pickens run deep routes, and then also DJ in the slot too. There's so many options now. There are so many options for him to work in this offense, and I'm super excited with the pick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's just another top pick by Colbert, and he's really sort of addressed that. The fact that we needed a burner as well. That's something the Steelers haven't got. They haven't got someone with lightning fast speed, and that's what they've got in Austin now.
100%, and it just felt like too he fell at the right time. What is he? Yeah, that's round 4, right? Yeah, day 3, round 4. I don't know what pick was he? 100 and something. I forget. 180.
150. I don't know. 180, 150. I can't remember.
He's up there. Anyways, our next pick though. So I'm pretty excited with Austin. I think he can play really good for the Steelers. And similar thing too. He doesn't need to go out there and win the championship. He just needs to go up there and get a few third downs or make some big plays here and there. And I think he will excel because we have there's no real pressure on him either because there's probably more pressure on Pickens at the rookie. Next guy, we have our family favorite, Haywood, Connor Haywood. What do you reckon of the fullback / tight end Haywood?
He's an interesting pick. I don't think there was any doubt that we were going to pick him. That gives us what, 3 sets of brothers now on the Steelers. What were the Edmonds brothers? 4.
It's 4. There's actually I found that yesterday. There's 4.
Yeah, the Davis brothers.
Davis, yeah. Khalil Davis
them.
and Carlos Davis both play defensive tackle.
Yeah, Davis brothers. Davis brothers, the Edmonds brothers, the Watt brothers, and now we've got the Hayward brothers. Yeah, I think we'll see him more perhaps at tight end as that third tight end. His receiving is better than his running. If you look at his stats, his college stats, his receiving stats are definitely better than his running stats. He's got good hands for a big guy. He's a good special teamer as well. The question that raises for me is this the end of Derek Watt?
That's a good question. I don't, you know what? I don't think so, because I kind of think, like, of course, the idea I had too was like, do these players instantly make the team because they have brothers on the team? You know, is there favoritism in the locker room where Haywood makes it because Cam's on? Because what's a good player though for special teams? We didn't use him as fullback, but maybe this year we do use fullback more in the running game, because now we have Mitchell Trubisky being play action. Like, I reckon still a lot of this comes back to Owen, man. It comes back to Big Ben was calling the shots last year.
Oh yeah.
And now we have the true offense, the true idea what Canada will be. It could be using fullback, it could be using Haywood. But I think in this sense, I think Haywood at this point, I don't think he sees the football that much. He may even just go into the practice squad.
Yeah, or he may just be a special teamer. That's another thing, I suppose. Yeah. But I think it's a solid pick. It's a solid pick. That's the thing. I think it does give us an option as well if we don't like Kevin Radar, of him being a third tight end, I suppose, having him as that.
But they're both complete different, size too. Like Radar is a massive unit, and Connor Haywood's a bit more stocky. A bit more shorter.
But I suppose because Freyamuth's 6'4", 6'5". Zach Gentry's 6'8". Zach Gentry's huge, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 6'7", 6'8". But the thing is too, I think with Haywood, I get this feeling that he's made the team. Give him a chance. He may go fullback, but if there's no room at fullback, then he may just go on to the practice squad and see what happens. So, but I'm kind of happy they chose him there. Now let's move into Mark Robinson. This is a guy I know nothing about. Do you know anything about Mark Robinson?
When the pick was announced, when I saw it, I was actually scrolling through Twitter, and I think it was Jenna Harner I read tweeted it out about him, Mark Robinson. Absolutely, Jenna Harner's amazing, by the way. No, I was like a bit of that Scooby-Doo moment, like who sort of moment.
Yeah, exactly. Who?
But apparently he was a running back. Initially, he went to Presbyterian apparently as a running back, and then he went somewhere else as a running back. He came to Ole Miss. Ole Miss coaches saw some potential and put him on the scout team as a defender, and he impressed, and they turned him into a linebacker from there. So he's actually only been a linebacker for 1 year in college with Ole Miss.
Really?
Yeah. He's very much in the Devin Bush kind of mold. He's 5'11". He's there for his speed, his sideline to sideline speed. He's not afraid of hitting. He's an interesting pick. It's definitely an interesting pick, shall we say. He apparently was one of the players the Steelers had in on a pre-draft visit as well, from what I've read. But yeah, ex-running back, so no doubt obviously has the speed and a bit of physicality from that. So it's an interesting one. But I think he's someone who, again, could be a practice squad guy, given the fact we've got Miles Jack, we've got Spillane, we've got Bush, we've got Buddy Johnson possibly developing in this year. Matty Pevell's favourite, Marcus Allen, UG3, all those people.
He's not that bad. He just doesn't get enough playing time, and he's just not the biggest size, Allen, I think, for a linebacker. And he generally just does play that, that nickel or the third down or that kind of dime what comes in and helps out. I've seen him do some good things sometimes, but he just kind of sticks around. But with the Marcus Robinson, is it Robinson? Yeah, pick.
Yeah, Mark Robinson.
There's a chance that he may not even make the team, to be honest, when you think about it, because there is 8 linebackers. 8 linebackers, including himself, with Buddy Johnson. You named them all, Spillane. So there's a chance that he won't make the team, or he'll just go straight to the practice squad, because And what is he, round 7? So,
Yeah.
Let's see. Like, there's no real thought to put a lot of pressure on him to go, oh, he's going to be the best. But he made the draft, and he's kind of, to me, almost like an undrafted player now, because it's such a, like, there's no real need for their middle linebacker. We have it set. We know who our 2 starters are going to be, Miles Jack and Devin Bush. We know that Spillane can fill in at certain roles too. And we know that Marcus Allen, they like to play in there too. And then also the emergence of Buddy Johnson will be kind of I would be surprised if they cut Buddy Johnson. You know what I'm saying? So they probably push Robinson to the practice squad, or even he may not even make the team. I don't know. I wish him all the luck though.
Robinson could be this season's Quincy Roche, possibly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Where he might excel in preseason. A lot of these guys too, we've got to realize at the end of the day, it's a business. There are 93 or 92 players go into the camp, and only 53 come out of it. So you cut 40 people. You're cutting 40 players to go somewhere else, and then on that point, only 45 play in a game. And then even then, you might even see 2 or 3 snaps. So there's so many limited snaps to go around, but at least it gives him a shot in the NFL and a chance. Let's move into our last player. My favorite. Let me get this pronunciation right. Chris Oladukin.
Nice.
Straight away, man, I think of Street Fighter. Hadouken, Yeah. If look, the quarterback surprised everyone. I was like, what? Quarterback? Yeah. But I wish him all the best. I want to hear your thoughts, but I like the way I even I tweeted at him. I said, mate, if you score a touchdown, you need to do the Street Fighter reference, Hadouken, but Oladukin. I can't pronounce it any other way. What do you reckon of this pick?
When it came out, I'd say I was surprised that we double dipped at quarterback. I've been sort of more if we'd gone for a cornerback or something like that, but he was one of the quarterbacks I saw the Steelers link with. If we weren't going to take a quarterback early, I think he has potential to be a good backup. I don't think he's a starter in the NFL. I think he's going to be a backup. I think it demonstrates perhaps long-term planning. They see Pickett as their number 1 and this guy is perhaps as the number 2. I think it's interesting that now we've got Trubisky, we've got Pickett, we've got Oladukin, and I think it's bye-bye Mason, to be honest with you.
It could very well be bye-bye Mason, but I think on the other side, though. So I was thinking, as a business standpoint, if you're bringing in a player like Oladukin, right? To me, the Steelers always go into camp with 4 QBs.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Always. Pretty much the most time I've been watching it. Now, there's a point too that he may just go onto the practice squad, and that's okay for this year. I don't think he'll start. He's quite a mobile guy too. And who do we verse? Who do we verse in the AFC North? Everyone can run. Every single quarterback can run. So we can use him in that sense as well. I like it. I was surprised too, man. I was like, quarterback?
Yeah.
We already got one.
Yeah, especially considering some of the guys who've now gone to undrafted free agent, that are out there, you kind of thought that maybe they'd go for some of those guys. Carson Strong was one who he's an undrafted free agent. He's gone to the Eagles now. Justin Ross, wide receiver out of Clemson, who was very highly talked about before the draft. Hasn't even got a team yet. So, he's another one that was out there. So there was some interesting people that weren't picked up. So yeah, I was surprised.
That's the nature of the beast, though. We really don't know at the end of the day, do we? All these mocks go through, and I bet you there was not one mock out there that had the Steelers taking 2 quarterbacks, one in the first round and Oladukin at the last round. But I kind of like it because I think this Steelers team needs that fresh, new black and gold paint, and we're ready to go. I get this feeling that all these fellas are ready. I feel like they want to prove themselves and become better. And like I said, with the Big Ben analogy, I love the guy, but I feel like the last 2 years, we just did the same things, and we were winning games, but then sometimes we were down by 30 points. So now let's get to some grades before we end the Steel City Syndicate podcast. Owen, how would you grade, if you had to, this whole draft, from A to F? What would you grade this? And I'll give you my pick.
I would give them. I've been reflecting on this today. I'm going to go with an A-. I like this draft. I do really like this draft class. I think it's a great final draft class by Kevin Cole. But like I said, I think he is, through this and through the free agency, he's building a legacy. He's leaving the team in a very good state.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I'm going to come down just a bit of a notch. I'm going to give them, and the reason why I give this this grade is because the players have not played yet.
Yeah,
right?
true.
I'm going to give them a B+, and that's the only reason. I think it's a really good draft. I think we had two receivers we didn't know we needed, but we got. Like, we didn't know we needed Calvin Austin, but now I love it. Like, I think we gotten faster. Kenny Pickett can be maybe our future if he progresses that way. So I'm going to go with B+ because these fellas still need to prove to themselves and to the organization and to the fans that they can play and they can win. So I'm happy, though, with this draft, and I'm so happy. This might be one of the most, successful off seasons I've seen in a long time.
Oh,
because we are getting like fresher new players, and we still have the old heads now, Cam Haywood and TJ Watt and Minka and Terrell Edmonds. It just feels like this team, we talked about it before. There's no way this team is a bottom of the barrel, or you've got Trubisky, you can't win. No. We have Najee and we have our defense. We have so many players. Do you want to give us your last thoughts and then we'll end it after that?
Yeah, I think I'm agree. I'm really hyped this season. I'm really looking forward to this season. I think the free agency, the players who signed, James Daniels, Levi Wallace, Miles Jack, absolutely fantastic. This draft's been great. And the thing we need to remember is that no one expects the Steelers to compete this year. No one, by that I mean the outside world, the analysts, the other teams. No one expects us. Everyone's talking Browns, everyone's talking Ravens, everyone's talking Bengals. But when we play best is when people talk us down, when we've got something to prove. That's when the Steelers play best, and I genuinely am hyped for this season. I think we've got every chance to win the AFC North and get into the playoffs and win a playoff game this year.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that 100%. I think we had a really good offseason overall, and we are in a better spot than we were, I think, last year or even 2 years ago. Because you look at all the players that we have, like Miles Jack is a fantastic player. Cornerback, we have the fellas that need to prove as well. Wallace and Witherspoon and Sutton's back. There's some guys there, and Minka and Terrell. I think, you keep naming names, and it just feels like once these players realize, okay, we have a really good team, we need to play like 5-star, and I think they will this year. I think they will. But hey, Owen, man, that was our first episode of Steel City Syndicate Podcast. How did we go? Did we do okay?
I think we did all right, Mark. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. We did a good job, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for checking out Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. My name's Mark, your host, and my co-host, Britsburgh. Owen, we do appreciate you guys checking out the podcast, checking out our videos. If you do like the content, please hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Here we go, Steelers.